Welcome to another explainer video on the Fiqh for Economists series. Today, we're going to unpack a concept that really builds the very foundation of trust in finance. It's a powerful tool that helps get business done by turning a simple promise into a totally bankable asset. I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever had that moment where you put your name on the line for someone, promising you'll cover for them if, for whatever reason, they can't? You know, it's a huge act of trust. Well, whether you realized it at the time or not, you were actually taking part in a practice that has a really deep and structured history. In Islamic finance, this is called Kafalah. And believe me, it's a whole lot more than just a simple favor. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with what Kafalah actually is. Then, we'll get into who's involved and what the rules are. We'll look at the different kinds of guarantees, see how it's all used today, and finally, figure out when this big commitment comes to an end. So, first things first, at its heart, what are we really talking about with Kafalah? Well, it's all about joining obligations and ensuring responsibility. The word itself, Kafalah, literally translates to joining, and honestly, that's the perfect description. It's about joining one person's financial liability to another person's. Technically speaking, this means the original debtor and the new guarantor become jointly responsible. Both of them are now on the hook. And you should know, this is not some modern financial invention. The legitimacy of Kafalah goes way back. It's rooted right in the Sunnah. This quote from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is so clear. The surety is liable. It establishes the core principle right there. This is a serious, binding commitment. All right, like any formal agreement, this one has a blueprint. You know, the essential parts and the rules of the game. So let's take a look at the structure of a Kafalah contract. This diagram really breaks it down nicely. So you've got party A, the creditor, the person who was owed money. You have party B, the debtor, and then party C, the guarantor, steps in. By doing that, C is now jointly liable for B's debt. This means the creditor, A, can now ask for payment from either B or C. So to make this official, the majority of scholars say you need these four pillars. Think of them as the building blocks. First, you need the guarantor, that's al-Kafil. Then the debtor, al-Makful anhu. Of course, you need the creditor, al-Makful lahu. And finally, you need the obligation itself, al-Makful bihi, the actual thing that's being guaranteed. Now, for this whole thing to be valid, a few key conditions have to be met. First off, the guarantor's consent is absolutely mandatory. No one can be forced into this. Both the guarantor and the creditor have to be legally competent. And this is a really critical one. The guarantee has to be for a real debt, a dain, not for something just being held in trust and amana. And finally, the claim has to be crystal clear. Everyone needs to know the exact quantity, type, and quality. No vague promises. You know, not all guarantees are just about money. The object of the guarantee can actually be different, and that leads us to two main types of kafalah. Okay, check this out. On the left, we have kafalah bi al-nafs. This is a guarantee of a person. It's where the guarantor promises the debtor will physically show up, say, for a court case. But here's the key. They are not on the hook for the debt itself. Now, on the right, you have kafalah bi al-mal, which is way more common in finance. Here, the guarantor is absolutely liable for paying back that debt or returning the property. So that's the theory. But how does this principle, which is centuries old, actually fit into our fast-paced, modern financial world? Well, let's take a look. One of the most common applications you'll see is in bank guarantees, or letters of guarantee. Islamic banks, especially in places like Malaysia, issue these all the time. They're basically guaranteeing their clients' obligations, which lets those clients secure big contracts or engage in trade that they just couldn't do on their own. Another really important area is in takaful, which is the Islamic approach to insurance. You'll find things called takaful surety bonds. They work as an alternative to conventional insurance-based guarantees. In this setup, the takaful operator itself acts as the guarantor, the kafil, for a big project, giving everyone involved peace of mind. This leads to a huge question. Can you actually charge a fee for this? At its core, kafalah is supposed to be a voluntary, charitable act, so profiting from the guarantee itself could be a problem. But, and this is a big but, contemporary jurists generally allow for a service fee, as long as it's just to cover real administrative and paperwork costs. It's a fee for the service, not a price for taking on the risk. That's a crucial distinction. Every contract has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and kafalah is no different. So what actually brings this binding agreement to a close? Well, the most obvious one is when the debt gets paid off, either by the original debtor or the guarantor. The contract also ends if the creditor just forgives the debt or officially releases the debtor. It can also end if the debt gets transferred to someone else. That's a process called hawala. Or if everyone just agrees to a mutual settlement. Finally, the creditor can just decide to revoke the contract and let the guarantor off the hook. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. The concepts, the rules, the modern applications. So, how about a quick quiz to see what's stuck? Let's try a few questions. First one up. What is the main goal here? What is a Kafalah contract fundamentally designed to do? Is it A, B, C, or D? All right, question number 2. Remember we talked about the 2 different types. Which one is not about money, but it's about making sure someone physically shows up when they're supposed to? And for our last question, number 3, what is the most straightforward, common sense event that brings the guarantor's obligation to a complete and final end?
Think you've got 'em? Go ahead and drop your answers down in the comments below. Let us know how you did. We'd love to see what you think.
So there you have it. From a simple, trusted handshake all the way to complex global finance, Kafalah provides this incredible blueprint for accountability. It's a powerful reminder that at the very heart of any strong economy is a simple, yet absolutely binding concept: a promise kept. Thanks for watching.